Keep your eyes shut. Don't let her know you're awake. That's what he told himself as he leaned back in his chair, face calm, breathing steady, pretending to drift in sleep. But behind his lids, his mind was racing. He had seen something, a shadow too small to be the housekeeper, a pair of little hands where they shouldn't have been. Tonight he was going to find out the truth. Before we move further into this story, let us know in the comments where you're watching from. We'd love to hear. Let's dive in. For weeks, strange things had been happening in the house. The safe in his study, always locked, always hidden, would sometimes look just slightly off. Like the handle had been touched. A stack of money not quite straight. A gold bar sitting at an odd angle. At first he thought it was his own carelessness, but then he started noticing the girl, the housekeeper's daughter. A quiet child, polite, always with big eyes that looked older than her years. She never spoke much, but she watched everything. One afternoon, he caught her staring at the safe for too long, her little fingers twitching as though she wanted to reach out. That's when suspicion bloomed. Could it be her, a child? Was she sneaking in, stealing? It didn't make sense, but nothing else did either. So tonight, he decided to test her. The room was silent, save for the faint hum of the air conditioner. He leaned back, his breathing even, his eyelids fluttering just enough to mimic sleep. Moments later, he heard it, the careful patter of tiny footsteps. The air shifted, and he could feel her presence before he dared to peek. The girl crept inside, yellow cleaning gloves on her small hands, her white dress brushing against the wooden floor. She moved with surprising determination, eyes flicking nervously toward him. In her little arms she carried a stool, dragging it toward the wall where the safe hung. The sound scraped across the silence, and his heartbeat pounded in his ears. But he didn't move. She climbed the stool, stretched on tiptoes, and pressed her ear against the metal door. Then came the clicks. 1, 2, 3. The safe wasn't locked by accident. It was being opened, by her. His breath caught. This child wasn't fumbling. She was skilled. Too skilled. He almost sat up then, but curiosity chained him still. She turned the dial with precision, her little brows furrowed, her tongue poking from the corner of her mouth in concentration. Finally, with a soft metallic thud, the door opened. Inside, stacks of money and bars of gold gleamed in the low light. Her eyes widened, not with greed but with something else. Relief. She reached inside, not for the cash, not for the gold, but for a folded photograph tucked against the wall. She pulled it out carefully, pressing it to her chest like a treasure. And that's when he realized she wasn't stealing. She was searching. She sat on the floor, staring at the picture, tears spilling down her cheeks. He opened his eyes fully now, unable to keep still. "What are you doing?" he asked, his voice low but firm. The girl gasped, dropping the photograph. Her tiny body froze, her eyes wide with terror, as though she had just been caught committing the worst crime in the world. She shook her head violently, clutching her gloves. "Please, don't tell Mama," she whispered. He leaned forward, picking up the photograph. His chest tightened. It wasn't just any picture, it was of a man. A soldier, the same man whose medals and name had once been whispered in stories by the housekeeper, her husband, the girl's father. And then everything made sense. The housekeeper had been cleaning his home for years, always avoiding questions about her husband. The girl had never spoken about her father, but here, hidden in his safe all along, was a piece of her family. Collateral from debts he had long forgotten, property seized as repayment. To him, it had been another asset locked away. To her, it was her father. His face softened, shame creeping in. "Why didn't you ask?" he murmured. Her lips trembled. "Because Mama said, 'Rich people don't listen.'" The words hit harder than any accusation. All his suspicion, his arrogance, dissolved in that instant. He had thought of her as a thief, but she was just a child, desperate to hold on to the memory of a man she barely knew. Slowly, he knelt beside her, placing the photograph back in her hands. "He's yours," he said. "He always was." Her tears broke into sobs, small shoulders shaking as she clutched the picture tight. And for the first time in years, she smiled through the tears, relieved not because of the gold or the money, but because she finally had a piece of her father back. The outcome stunned him. He had pretended to sleep to catch a thief, but instead he awoke to a truth he had been blind to all along. That dignity, love, and memory are worth more than anything locked in a safe. The moral is clear: never assume you know someone's story just because you see their hands reaching for something you own. Sometimes they're not after wealth, sometimes they're after pieces of their heart that the world has taken from them. If this story touched you, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and let us know how you feel in the comments.